We don't buy it.
All the bad kids sitting in the back?
That's all.
Sit back and have to ask questions.
You gotta do my over here. My brain pizza.
Call the Superior Planning and Zoning Commission to order. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Invocation. Dear Lord, please watch over the town of Superior and all of its residents. Please help the town keep developing as it is and keep coming along nicely and bringing more people and more satisfaction from everybody. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, roll call. Henry Munoz. Here. Here. Henry Munoz, present. Sherry Fedor.
Here.
Sherry Fedor is president. Present. Jesse Garcia.
Here.
Jesse Garcia is present. David Gunn.
Here.
David Gunn is present. Joy Evelyn.
Here.
Here. Hank Gutierrez. Absent. And Matt Mashup. We're here, got enough to make quorum. Consent agenda, approval of September 5th, 2019 regular agenda minutes.
Chair.
Yes, move that we approve. Motion made by Henry Munoz to approve the meetings of September 5th, minutes of September 5th, 2019. Do I hear a second?
Second right here.
Who?
Either one.
Okay. Seconded by David Gunn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries to approve September 5th, 2019 regular minutes. New business, public hearing, discussion, possible approval of resolution 2019-08, a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Superior recommending that the Town Council rezone the property from the urban residential R18 zone district to the multiple family residential R3 zone district.
I think there's a piece of this land that's R5 as well. Is that, Todd, do you know that's true?
No.
No.
So
It's all R8?
yes.
I went over there and I saw a sign that said R8 and R5 to R3.
So this goes from here to here. Oh.
Chairman, we do have representatives from Northern Arizona Restorations here. If you like, they can present their request.
Okay, please.
Right here?
Yes.
I don't think, I'll just project my voice. I don't think I need the microphone.
Doesn't work very well anyway.
Okay, perfect. Well, my name is Ray Rolls, and I'm representing Northern Arizona Restorations, like he already said. in regards to the 17 acres of vacant land. So what I would like to do is kind of state an overview of what I'll be discussing just over the next few minutes, highlight some of the benefits, address some of the questions and concerns, and then take any additional questions if there are any. So like you've already seen in your papers, we're looking at the current zoning of R18, which is residential for 8,000 square foot lots that Superior classifies as a medium dense zone. And our proposed zoning would be changing that to an R3 multifamily zone for a maximum of 20 units per acre, which Superior classifies as high density. So with that being said, I'd just like to take a minute and thank everybody for being here. I know our schedules are busy and life is crazy, so I just appreciate your time and allowing me to speak tonight. So with that being said, I will begin with the list of benefits for the rezone. So the first thing that the change of the rezone to an R3 multifamily zoning will do is simply provide us the opportunity and possibility for future development for the town of Superior for a mixture of workforce townhomes, condominiums, and apartment complexes to serve the residents of Superior. Studies have shown that Superior plans to see a large population growth in the next coming years around 2022. The current housing supply that Superior has, it just won't accommodate the growth that Superior plans to see. So not only will that give us the opportunity to provide that adequate housing for the future growth, it will also boost the town of Superior's economy. So if we are able to provide adequate housing and more dense housing for these future residents, that means that they're staying in Superior and spending their money in Superior instead of taking that and going to surrounding cities like Apache Junction, Gold Canyon, Mesa, and spending their money there. It's staying in Superior, which is a huge win. In addition to that, throughout the design and construction process of this future development, we're bringing in jobs, which means those workers are coming into Superior. They're going to need to eat lunch. They're going to stay in Superior for that. Some of them might even end up living in Superior post-construction. So in addition to the increased population with those residents staying in Superior, that means more tax dollars going to the education system, which of course, whenever we're talking about the education system and money going in instead of going out, it's a huge win again. So keeping them in Superior is a big win for the education programs. And next, the 17 acres is a large parcel that's easily accessible and close to other attractions and sites in Superior, such as the mine, schools, Main Street, and major roads, so it makes getting in and out of Superior just as easy. Not only will the future development provide aesthetic views for the surrounding area, it will also increase the values of the surrounding properties that border the 17 acres. So we're aware that Superior is absolutely beautiful, and we want to preserve that and honor that in any type of development that we do down the road, and only add to its authentic and natural state that it is, and not take anything away from that in terms of views and design. So this next one is a big one for the town that I like to point out as well. With this future development and any homes that are sold, 2% of that will actually go back into the town's funds, meaning they have more money to work with for future projects, like they've already started and rolling out beautification projects, things like that. So it just gives them an even bigger cushion to take on more projects like that. And lastly, just in general, it'll foster a healthy social environment for Superior with the possibility of this future development from the rezone from an R8 to an R3. So now that I've gone over the list of benefits, I'd like to address a few concerns that I know are out there and that we've heard. And the first one would be concerns of losing your views. So like I mentioned, Superior is absolutely beautiful, so we're aware that these views are important, and so we intend to preserve them and not take away. And so with that said, I'd like to point out that the current zoning of R18 and R3 actually essentially have the same building maximum height. So what that means is really we could go in right now with the current zoning, build 2-story houses, or with the new zoning with R3, build 2-story townhomes and condos and apartment complexes. But that view, you're not going to see 10, 15, not even 3 or 5-story apartment complexes, because that new R3 zoning just simply doesn't allow it. And so in this case, when we're talking about a denser zoning, we're talking about more units on an acre and shared walls, so not higher building height. So the next one is a concern with the increase in traffic down the road. And after a traffic study was conducted, it was found that Panther Drive is actually underutilized and under capacity. So because of that, we're confident that future development with the roads surrounding can and will support that future growth. So then the last one that I'd like to address, before I wrap up everything, is the resident input with design plans down the road. So our current goal is simply to receive your support and approval with the R3 zoning from R18. And once that is approved, then we move into the next step, and that's the whole design review process. We're coming back. We plan to work closely with the town and its residents so everyone's input can 100% be heard. But right now we're just focusing on step 1. That can get us to step 2, 3, 4, 5 in this long step process. So like I said, we plan to work hand in hand. We're looking forward to it. It really excites us to be able to work with the town and its residents and be able to hear what everybody really would like to see and align that with our vision of what we would like to see as well. But like I said, our focus now is just simply the approval. So that basically wraps up the benefits and hopefully addressing some of the questions and concerns. And I'd like to hand it back over. And I don't know if anybody else speaks or if I would take questions or whatever you guys would like to do. That wraps it up.
Of course, this is a public hearing. Anyone has the right to address the Planning and Zoning Commission. If you do have questions for the owners, you're welcome to do that as well.
I'd like to address them, I introduce them to one of the residents for the township. So, do I need to go?
Please do. Please identify yourself for the clerk so she can put your name in the record too.
Okay. My name is Rosalie Padilla. I live on Christopher Avenue, and their rezoning is going to affect our values on our homes. So what I want to do is read to you what I have written down, what my concerns are. And I believe to consider a zone change from an R18 to an R3 on the 16, 17 acres will have an adverse effect on my property. According to Article 4 in the Zone District and Map section, under Section 40 purpose, the purpose of establishing these districts, each states protect and maintain the integrity and character of the established neighborhoods, the historic buildings, and the natural scenic resources of our town. Rezoning the 16, 17 acres to an R3 will lower the property value and will affect my way of living, where the commission and city council's duties are to protect the stability of existing neighborhoods and value. According to Article 5, single-family residence zoning district, Section 50 purpose, the building and appearance need to be cohesive with the surrounding homes. Zone R3 is too broad. The categories that fall under an R3 zone are apartments, condos, townhouses, and so are mobile homes and RV parks, with the conditional use permit approved by the commission. That's for the mobile homes and the RV parks. 6.2 ordinance, Section A, number 3, mobile home parks, B, recreational vehicle, is a multiple residential zone. My question is, are we going to have enough water for everybody, especially with the mine and trying to get all our resolutions done and everything set for us? And then I'm concerned about the safety and health concerns with ingress and outgress, as our street is on a cul-de-sac, and any additional traffic will create issues for everyone living on our street. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. To address, the only one issue I would address with that is the cul-de-sac issue. The current discussion is that they won't be entering and exiting off of Christopher. That one exit that was originally developed will probably be closed off. And the entrance would be off of Panther or off of Richard.
I'm still not satisfied.
Yeah.
Rosalie, I would like to, yes, actually newer homes will increase the value of the homes because they are within standards, and it will be a beautiful development. Usually the new developments with the new standards, they are with the better standards than new development, and about the water. we, as town of Superior, you know, we all feed from Arizona Water Company, right?
Right, yes.
So-
And another issue is the safety. When you have a multiple family units, people don't get along, then we're gonna be like the city, Maricopa, where there's gunfire, fights, all this kind of.
Rosalina,
Do we
this
have the
is, that
manpower
can be
to
issue in any street
Well, yes, of
or
course.
of this town. And
Yes,
I believe
but
that
we
the
need, are we gonna have the enforcement to handle that?
I understand it, and there's valid concerns. I wouldn't argue with you on them, and that's not what we're trying to do. As far as the traffic volume, again, it shouldn't be an issue. As far as police coverage is generally increased for population and revenue base. So if there's more population, there's more revenue base, there's more police available. So you generally build out for the population you have.
Include that in the growth.
My name is Lou Ronaldo, I live on Christopher also, and I just have a couple of questions. Where are you guys gonna be tying in the sewer at?
Well, the sewer is,
It's in the creek. I don't think there's any sewer on Panther Drive.
there's a manhole on that northwest corner. There's a manhole in the northwest corner.
That's something that when we get into full, design, that would be addressed. Well, there are several mains in the area. There's a large main that crosses the corrals lots as well. That would have to be determined and engineered. So anything we say at this point would be a guess. It would have to be properly engineered, and make sure that that it's safe and it has the adequate volume to handle it. So I would hesitate to say exactly where we're gonna tie the sewer until we have an engineer who tells us that this is the right way to do it.
Excuse me, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Lana Clark. I work in town of Superior Engineering Department.
Todd Pryor, the town manager.
Well, so if you're building apartments, what's the height gonna be?
We're gonna be a maximum of 2 stories. So we won't be asking for any additional variances in regards to height to go higher. 28 feet will be the maximum height that will be on, so you'll see 2 stories.
Okay, so when you start, that property is like at a slope. Are you guys gonna be digging dirt out, or are you gonna be bringing dirt in?
Again, that's something that is probably step 2, 3, or 4 in our multi-step process. So like I had mentioned, just our focus today is just simply getting it approved so we can spend more time and money into getting those answers, and then coming back and being able to answer that completely with certainty for you. But right now, we just are focusing on the rezone, so that then allows us to find those answers for you.
Okay, well, with that being said, I would like to ask this commission to deny the rezoning. Thank you.
So would I.
Are you speaking? Okay. My name's Ken Cook, I live at 230 West Terrace in town. And I just want to speak in support of this development because I'm familiar with the quality of work that this outfit does. And, the future's coming to Superior, and there's going to be a need for housing. We might as well have it here and have it done on a quality basis with people who are responsive to the community. They've already said that. In terms of the design, I doubt if there's even a preliminary layout available right now, but those things come as the plans get developed. They said they would welcome community input, and I've seen the work that they've done in the past, and I think we're lucky to have them come in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Henry, got anything?
Well, I'm not against any growth in the community, as long as it's done in the right manner, as long as it doesn't affect the safety, the health of the people involved. One of my concerns is basically that these people have purchased their homes probably about the same time I did. They put their life, sweat, equity into their homes. They were promised when they bought their homes that they were gonna be single-family residential homes, okay? I see a mad dash to change zoning policies, which I, as a commissioner member here, or if I was on the city council, and my property was to be affected, I would be irate. I would be speaking up, and that's what I'm known for. The fact that this development is so close to a sand and gravel operation even raises my concerns. Because as I can tell you right now, we have recorded evidence here that down the road, those same people are gonna be here complaining about dust measures in their neighborhood. And it's gonna affect the safety of those kids and the adults that live in that area. That is my concern. My other concern is the proximity to a flash flood area, floodplain, so to speak. Okay, what would happen, what could happen? You know, as 100-year flood, 50-year floods pertain, they could happen. And those are my concerns right now. It's really in a bad area for this type of development. And I would recommend that we just leave it the way it is and take it from there.
I would address, I'm not trying to persuade anyone, and I'll address two issues with that. Number one, the floodplain is administered by Pinal County, and anything they do would have to meet their floodplain ordinance. So they won't get a permit to build anything in the floodplain without getting a properly engineered design that says that it's safe and they can do it. The other issue is of course, there's going to be a push new employees coming to town if the mine opens. And if that happens, gentrification, increase in property values, increase of everybody's cost of living here is going to happen unless there's more housing. There are no lots that aren't adjacent to anyone in town. They don't exist. We're landlocked. Everybody has a neighbor. So no matter what we do going forward, someone's going to be affected. And I'm not saying, I'm not, again, trying to say that we should just mad dash forward, or I'm not even really trying to persuade on this issue. I'm just saying that there isn't going to be any one of these zoning issues that comes forward. There's not going to be one that doesn't have a neighbor who comes in who is affected. It just doesn't exist in our town.
I have something else to say. There's other areas in Superior that are just already zoned for R3s, and those lands just lay empty. Why? And I understand that the same owner owns those too. Why don't they start up there and let us see what they can build? Let us see what
That'd be a question
they
for the
can
owner.
build.
I'd like to answer that. So it actually isn't the same ownership. So I'm representing Northern Arizona Restoration, which is a general partnership agreement, with Greg Rolls being the general partner, so meaning he has majority control, majority say. So the other land that you're referring to is a different ownership, so it's a single person owning that. And how we are structuring and changing our business on the back end, which I don't need to really get into, but Greg is now taking over and taking control of so much more than what we have seen in the past, as far as the other owner that you're speaking about. So that is different than what we're speaking about today. So I don't necessarily think that they correlate, especially with them being different parcels, different parts of town, and a different ownership, and we're specifically talking about this 17 acres tonight.
Okay, then I deny that. Then.
Have you already bought the 17 acres?
Yes, we're the current owners.
See, my problem with that is that you could say you want to come in and build apartments, two-story apartments, or even townhouses. But underneath that same R3 zone, you are able to put mobile homes in there, you can do RV parking in there with a permit, and you can change your mind about your plan and what you want to do with it. That bothers me. That, I mean, it's, once it's zoned, are you willing to go back and rezone it to an R1H? And I would rather see starter homes for these young miners that are going to come in and live here in Superior, having a 2-bedroom home to have their starter homes with their children And then growing up, and hopefully by that time they're ready for school, our schools will be able to offer the education that will be closer to the schools in Mesa than what we have now.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, definitely, and a lot of times starter homes are smaller townhome condo types, but in no way do we have planned for a mobile home park, RV park. That isn't even in like our wheelhouse of what we know how to do, so even if we wanted to, we probably would screw it up. So we're just trying to steer clear from that, that's not in our wheelhouse. We're residential, it's just a different type of residential, so like I was talking about, you're still gonna see homes, but just shared walls, so we can accommodate more houses on there to accommodate for growth. So the majority will be townhomes and condos with a small, at least what we envision now, we've only done just a few preliminary designs because we've just been focusing on getting this approved so we can then put more time and efforts into an actual design to bring back. But we only envision maybe like 30 apartments and the rest of that being townhomes and condos to accommodate. So that would be kind of viewed as a starter home in a way. It's a smaller lot, easier to take care of, you know, that type of thing. So it's just less to take on, and it makes it more desirable for a starter home or somebody that, even retirees, things like that. So just to reiterate, no mobile home parks are in the plan, no RV parks are in our plan. That just isn't even what we envision at all.
But it could be apartment buildings and then it could be a townhouse, right? That's what you're
A
saying.
mixture of both.
Yeah,
So
or
what
both of them.
we
Yes.
envision would be a small portion for apartment complexes, and then a larger portion being townhomes or condominiums. But no RV parks, I promise you. I will put my word on, I'm recorded, I promise.
Well, you have to have a conditional use permit. It's the whole process, again, through the planning and zoning and town council approval. And we are not looking into mobile homes. First of all, it's not even in the mobile home zone area. It's the residential area. The mobile homes will decrease your value. We do not want to decrease value of the town of Superior.
Right, but it is under the umbrella of the R3 zone.
Yes, with a conditional use permit, it's a very
Yes.
complicated process.
And it goes through the commission, and they have approved it according to what I read.
Yes, Rosalind, have you, she mentioned, I heard, she said, I think here she says that they will be closely interacting with the residents with their, when they will have design plans. So you will be involved in those designing plans.
And again, conditional use permits, yes, they can apply for and get one approved. It would go through the planning and zoning commission and another public hearing. Then it would go to the council, and the council would have to approve that. So, legally, it is possible. Whether or not that's their intent, she said that it is not. So, the design review also, they're gonna have to come back again to this, for this size of property with anything over 50% or new construction, they have to come back to the planning and zoning commission for a full design review. So there's gonna be a design review process. That also will have to be approved by the council. So we are at least 3 steps, again, from actually knowing what's going to be built there.
I have the same concern about mobile homes that you do.
Yes,
There's a manufactured home overlay district in Superior,
yes.
and it does not include this piece of property, just so you know. It's not even possible to put them there at this time, for either zone, for the existing or
Well,
the new one.
what I read, it was under that R3.
Right, there's a manufactured home overlay district where it's possible, and this doesn't include.
Let me clarify that a little bit. Well, really what the overlay district is for individual residents to put, so if you own a lot within the overlay district, you can put a mobile home on it. Yes, any R3 can apply for a mobile home park. It has to be permitted separately as a mobile home park. Even outside the overlay district, you can apply for a mobile home park. Again, that's not what they're saying they're going to do. But that, again, could be one of the things that is addressed in design review. And if, to be frank, if they come to this commission and told them they're not going to build a mobile home, and then they come back in 5 years to try to build a mobile home park, it will not be received positively.
I would vote against it at that point.
So we're already know it's not gonna happen.
I'm not making a promise. No mobile homes.
in 5 years, everything can change, and that's my concern. I believe mobile homes, RV parking should be out of the R3. It shouldn't even be an option. I believe even special permits stated in there, state everything, move everything under special permits, get them out of the R3, and it can only be done by special permits and zoning when approved.
May I ask a question? Sorry, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And that essentially how it is now. It's a conditional use permit. It's under a separate section of the
Special
code.
permit.
And conditional use permits are essentially a completely new zoning process. Even if you're zoned R3, you have to come back for a conditional use permit, and it's this exact process. Public hearings, notification for everybody in 300 feet, and we're trying to make sure that everybody knows about it. That's why we're putting signs out. We're trying to increase our public outreach, so everybody knows it's happening, right? So if it were to happen, you would know well ahead of time, there'd be another meeting, it would go through this process again.
But it won't be a rezoning. All it would be is issue the permit or not, and most likely it will be issued. That's the thing.
Oh, none of us can guarantee how,
They're just an advisory committee, so I'm.
Oh, my feelings are hurt.
You're more than that.
May I ask Ray a question? If, let's say, if you rezone these properties, how long do you think it will take you to go through the design process and build those townhomes and condominiums?
Yeah, I would say at least a minimum of a year to get through the design review process, but again, that is sort of dependent on outside factors such as the people that would give us their input and make changes. Because like I said, we want to work closely together and make sure it's just right and everybody is happy with what is going there. Because, I mean, I don't have to say this, it's a large piece of land and it's going to have an impact, and we want to make that impact as beautiful as possible, what makes sense with Superior. And so that process will take as little or as long as it needs to take. And then anything after that is dependent on the mine and the economy.
I've been on this commission a long time. I was even involved when you were building Highlands. And, you know, same concerns were being brought up then.
Don't bring that one up.
Well, but, you know, we needed homes, but this has got to happen.
Well, that's fine, so don't bring that up.
See, it didn't happen then, so why do you think it will happen later?
well, we don't
We don't want to go
again,
there, that's totally different.
we don't want to get arguments about all the issues, and I agree.
I sort of have a related question for Todd, if I may. Panther Drive crosses Queen Creek. I would expect that that road would need to be improved across Queen Creek to some extent here.
To be frank, all of our roads need to be improved, but that one is a high priority. It is listed in our capital improvement plan with Central Arizona Government. We have applied for a grant and we missed by a hair on the just getting a new crossing in there. The plan is to put a 10-year crossing. It will have a system of culverts underneath. The water will flow under on any flood less than a 10-year intensity. Anything over that would go over the top. The main reason we're concerned about that and why it's number one on our capital improvement plan list is because it has a fire station on one side and an affected neighborhood on the other side of the creek. So when it floods, the fire trucks can't get through, the ambulance can't get through, it has to go up to Belmont and across. So we are going to be fixing that road fairly soon. It's just a matter of getting the right funding source.
I have actually question, maybe question to future developers. Would it be possible to have your impact and to help town with that design that we're talking about? You know, there is a Panther Drive that goes down the hill, down the creek and goes up. So could it be considered in your design plans to improve that street to help us out to fund, let's say, share the money?
Well,
Share the
there are a
price?
number of ways to do that. The town could develop impact fees that are associated with the sale of those properties so that you have to have a study that goes with it. So the impact fee is designed to offset those one-time impacts. It's only, you can only spend it on one-time items. It's not like you can hire a firefighter with it. What you can do is build infrastructure. So that's what an impact fee would be. We'd have to consider adopting one. We don't have one now. There hasn't been any building in town, so it's kind of pointless to have an impact fee.
I have a question too that I need to ask you. Are you going to start the apartment housing first and have that all finished and then start selling them? Or are you gonna sell first and build later?
So, like I said, our design phase is very preliminary, so I can't give you a 100% answer yet, but in our mind, this is such a big piece of land that they'll be in phases. So what we know, and we know really well, is residential housing, so townhomes and condominiums. So I believe that would kind of be our focus first. That would be a phase one, and then sort of move in a direction that would then take it to, at least that was under my impression, unless you have a different answer. That's sort of what I envisioned, it just being in phases, so it can be sustainable. So not everything starts at once, and then you're sitting on something that isn't happening, isn't going anywhere.
Yes.
Phasing big projects like this out really makes it more effective. It gives a better success rate, all that kind of things that deal with, or that's as a benefit of phasing out a project.
So then you will start with condominiums or the townhouses and sell those as you build, or build them and then sell? Because what I'm concerned is if you don't sell, are they just, is it unfinished homes that are just gonna sit there? Unfinished product, in other words, are just gonna stay there?
Yeah, I don't have a clear answer because we're so preliminary design and we don't even have any type of budget, anything like that, so it's really hard to give you a direct answer. I know you want a direct answer, but I really can't give you one because I don't want to tell you a lie or just blow smoke if it's not true, because I appreciate your time and I appreciate and value your questions. So at this point, it's just, we have to nail down our design, then we go through an entire budget and go through what that phasing would really look like.
Okay. And what you can build with, and then get
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
Will your design for the homes or condominiums, whatever, are they gonna include like a park area for children?
Yeah. But again, we're in preliminary design phases, that's what we envision, and that's what we want to include. So once we start really digging deeper into that design, we want to include a park portion, like multiple park areas, things of that sort, just so it's appealing and somewhere that kids can play and families can go, that's safe and inviting and all of those things that make just that more much desirable to live at. So it's in the plans, it's just not a hard design plan at the moment, because we're preliminary.
You're actually talking about 3 different kinds of residences, fee simple and condo association and rental apartments on the same property.
Yes. Yes. It's not called base though to our
They're all
properties,
fees.
and
Are
that's
they gonna be
concern.
HOA?
But it caters to the different population and the growth and different type of residents that you'll see coming in. If not everybody is gonna wanna buy a house, some people wanna rent. If they want to purchase this house, they might want different things associated with it, different things that cater to their needs. That's an unknown that we're trying to just diversify, so it makes sense, so it boosts our chances of this being successful. Does that make sense? So if,
No, after you're done, I did want to make a statement to them.
okay, essentially just us diversifying what we're putting here just improves our chances and percentage of this being successful and catering to different people, retirees, workforce housing, families. By broadening our wings, it increases our chance at success essentially, and that's a win for everyone.
Okay, there are a couple of references to affordable housing. We are not talking subsidized housing.
Correct.
Okay.
Workforce
Like saying,
housing.
basically, affordable housing people should be able to.
We're not looking at like Beverly Hills prices, that's,
Section 8 housing available?
say that again?
Is Section 8 housing going to be available there?
No?
No Section 8 at all?
And no HOAs?
There might be. Again, we'd have to just really get down to the nitty gritty of it and figure out exactly what would be there.
See, we don't really know what they want to do. They just want to rezone, and they still have they have 3 different types of housing that they intend to build. But right, and first, they have to see if the people want to buy these, and if they don't want, well, later we're gonna do this. These people, these new miners, in the past, and this is experience, I've lived here 66 years, I have seen a lot. Most of the miners that work at the mine, they came from the Valley, Florence, Globe, Apache Junction. They commuted, came, did their job, they were in carpools. Then when the shift was over, they all loaded up and went back home. None of them was willing to come and buy a home, even when we had all this property that was available to them, and even houses that they could have bought. They didn't want to move to Superior. They wanted to see, they wouldn't move their kids or move their families here because of the services that we have. We don't have enough to bring or keep people here. That's why our young people left. They picked up and left with their families because we need to improve the schooling. We need to get more stores. We don't even have fabrics. We don't have clothing stores. We don't have even enough beauticians in town, barber shops, and only at certain hours. So we don't have a lot of cleaners. There's a lot of things that have shut down and left, and everybody would rather just drive to the valley, and that's why they won't come over here. They have everything there. They have everything for their kids and their families, so they'd rather stay there than buy over here.
I think that'll change as we get more people in.
I hope so. And I think what I'm looking at is, we're looking more for senior communities. I see a lot of that. And a lot of people like Superior. I like it because it's nice and quiet and slow for me. I don't want to go into Mesa with the crazy traffic and everybody running around. So this is ideal for us. But we have to think about affordability for them. It's got to be nice and inexpensive so they're able to live in a home. So that's my concern. So, and I think that they're more reluctant to live in a 2-story than a single floor home. But that's just how I see it because it's age, and I think it's easier. Even with kids, you're wanting to be careful of them going up and downstairs. That's why, yes, it's a safety issue, and I believe that families are going to be worried about that. So I would do single. That's why I like the starter homes.
That's down the road though, this is just about
Right, of course.
rezone is all right now.
Yes, yes. But if you're going to build something, build it to what will be needed.
Well, that could
and what
change
will
down
sell.
the road when they finally get their design together. This is just about a rezone,
Right.
not building complete right now.
Chairman, because the mining issue is raised, I would like to give the data that's out there right now. The resolution anticipates that 25% of their workforce will want to live in Superior, but they say there's no available housing stock. They say, according to the report, there's 319 houses available, but if you actually look at current numbers, based on the amount of purchasing and improvement that's happened over the last 5 years, there's only 220 houses available. So the housing stock is not enough sufficient for the intended people, the people that are just moving in. They say that 455 workers will want to live in Superior, based on 25% of the population living here. There's only a housing stock for 226, so we're short about 250 houses. And that's going to be a market demand, and more developers are going to be seeing that as a potential revenue source. So there's going to be more people who are seeking to develop our properties, not fewer.
And I believe that the mine should be involved in helping to house their own workers. They could build bunkers, or they could build some type of housing where they could rent out by week or month.
Well, we don't want to end up like Morenci and stuff, where they don't.
Right.
That's actually happening in South Dakota right now. What happens with that is extremely high crime rates, lots of domestic violence, lots of sexually transmitted diseases, prostitution. You do not want that sort of workforce housing. You want families moving in and staying in the community. You do not want man camps, is what they call it.
Yes.
Yes.
Time already. Todd, you said that there are plans in the, and I know there are plans out there for widening and there. What are we talking there? You're going to have roughly how many vehicular entrances exit from your proposal when it's built out? Estimated.
Two, there was two, one on Richard and one off of,
No,
Adler.
I'm just talking about how many
Residents.
vehicular trips in and out, people going to work, people coming home, people going to the movies or.
They're talking, what, how many houses? 400 and,
These are questions for the owner, and I would hate to answer that, because we're not in design review phase right now,
No, I
again,
know.
so we don't have exact details about this.
But we
They can give us a rough idea what they're thinking about, yes.
But I worry about that road out there. And what, especially with those giant trucks coming out, in and out constantly, and the gravel operation.
That road
Got
is,
potential for, school buses stopping and kids on bicycles. And
Accidents.
so what, yeah, those are.
that road is classified as a collector road. It is,
How wide,
there are only 3 collector roads in town. There's Main Street, there's Panther Sunset Loop, and then there's the highway. So it is considered the highest traffic and most capable of handling that traffic road in town, according to the Transportation Pavement Study. That's why we invested in it first, and why it got the slurry seal and all the work as the very first project out of the gate. So it is going to be a maintenance concern no matter what. There's already a large neighborhood that uses that as main ingress and egress. This is not going to change that calculus at all. It's going to increase the demand that we would think we're there.
absolutely. But finished, when the road itself is completed, widening is finished, how wide are we looking at compared to what we have now?
No, it's not a widening project, it's still going to be a 2-lane road. It's going to be a bridge, a crossing across the creek. So the creek is going to not flood, and it's going to be a little bit straighter, and it's going to, and that's really the only project we're talking about. As far as widening, there isn't data in there that says it's going to be necessary. That road should be perfectly sufficient for the traffic volume.
Todd, just to go back on what the ladies here,
Oh, sure.
Sherry's saying, the increased traffic, and we know that Undinetto's gonna grow, okay? We know that. We don't know how big they're gonna grow yet, because they have a potential to go to a batch plant or what have you, okay? And expand it, and they have been expanding. I think with the capacity of tonnage that they're using right now with their trucks, the haul packs, the smaller haul packs, never intended for those streets, okay? The potential for an accident, a kid getting run over, increases. Like you said, that's one of our roads there. Kids are on bikes, they're riding around. If we're looking for families to move in and settle in, you know, it's like telling the kid to play on the freeway, kind of.
And I would say that the Automeo is pretty much a completely separate issue from what we're
I'm just
talking
talking
about.
about the increased traffic that
And I would agree, there are, Arizona has a lot of exemptions for heavy equipment. And unfortunately, those vehicles qualify for the farm equipment. They don't even have to be registered, they can drive on the streets. There's lots of exemptions for that heavy equipment. It's an issue going forward we're gonna have to manage.
Sure.
But that's going to be an issue going forward we have to manage irregardless of what we decide to manage.
and it also floods and that road is closed, so everybody's gonna go around.
I live in the
It's
Highlands,
really,
and I go up and around more often than I
Yes.
like to do.
And that's the issue we're going to be addressing with the high water crossing, that's a 10-year flood crossing. So it would only flood once every 10 years.
Right.
Are you sure?
Well, we had a hydrology engineer got a 30-page report from a master's degree student in hydrological engineering that tells me exactly what we need to design for that. We used 2 different computer models. We ran it by our engineers and we ran it by the county flood engineer, and they all agreed that that's an acceptable 10-year design. So we did our homework.
Any other questions? Sure.
So, you're hoping that resolution will live there. After 2 years of loud construction, whoever takes to build it. And if it is full on, everything's full, everybody's working there, and I can't take anymore and I want to leave, how am I going to sell my home with that monstrosity right across from me? Nobody wants to buy a house, buy an apartment complex. You kidding me? I would never do that.
Are you
And then, and if it doesn't, nobody lives there, and they're all vacant, because resolution didn't come. And then my view's gone, for what? For nothing? But there's homes sitting there vacant. You're banking on resolution coming. I was born and raised here, and I haven't seen it.
What's your name?
Donnie Cox,
Thank you.
and I live on Crystal.
You live on Crystal?
Yeah.
And I would agree that's an issue. It would be an issue with the R18 as well. The height allowed for an R18 is 28 feet, just like the Highland. The height allowed for the R3 is 28 feet. So the difference is not height and view shed, it's density. And if that's the core issue, and the number of people living there, an apartment living there, that's a question to the zoning commission whether or not we consider that an appropriate use. That's really the only question, and that's really the only thing on the agenda tonight, is whether high density is something you consider acceptable in that area.
So I'm not real knowledgeable with zoning and that stuff. So they're saying they're gonna build so much of this and so much of that. Could they just say, you know, times change in a year or two, but that's all it's gonna take? Could they say, well, we need to put all just apartments there? Can they do that?
They absolutely could. It wouldn't change the height, it wouldn't change the density, but they also could decide in 2 years that the mine hasn't opened and nothing's happening and they're not gonna build. I can't predict the future. I don't think anybody in here can. The possibility of development is all we're talking about, but giving them the option, and that's the question.
So they could basically build all apartments there?
They don't have to build.
They could, yes.
That's terrible.
So,
I think we had an issue like that when I was on the council almost 27 years ago, when Albo Guzman came back to town and he wanted to put a trailer there. And the fact that it wasn't zoned for that, he was told to move it, and he did. So if that was to happen now, technically he could apply to put a mobile home on there.
No, it's not an overlay district. You would apply for an RV park, or a mobile home park, just like.
But under the present zoning, you could, if you change it, you could apply for it.
Yes,
special
but
permit.
Yeah.
the difference being that Alba Guzman did not follow the rules and do it the proper way. We're talking about people who are coming to you with a request to consider. So it's up to you whether or not you consider that or not.
You're the one who has to think of it.
Well, do we really know their intentions? We don't. We just know
so
what they want. They want residents there.
I
But-
change it until I seek further development. For further
Well, they have to start a process somewhere.
Right, it's
I mean,
a
otherwise
process,
they're
right.
just gonna leave. I mean, something's gotta happen, or why, if this isn't, well, then they can't develop. I mean, they can't even spend any more money to develop. I mean, so they're, if this doesn't pass, it doesn't mean we're gonna pass other stuff that they come up with without changes or something, you know? So, but before we can even go to the housing part, they have to go this part. Just like we did with the ranch over there. I mean, they can't go any farther. So if they don't do this, they're dead in the water. Yes?
I feel there is too much unknown for any type of decision to be made tonight.
Also, that sign out there by the property says that there's another meeting next Thursday.
That would be a town council meeting.
But according to that sign, it says for rezoning.
Yes, what we do here, and then it goes to the town council.
We just advise.
Right, you just advise and recommend.
I'm still hurt over that one.
Todd told me that.
Well, I'll get to him later.
And it is in the articles, I read it, that you just advise.
Yeah, the town council are the ones that would approve this for sure.
Right, they're the ones that make the final decision. I read that.
We don't have any benefits.
No,
No, none whatsoever.
we're part-time.
No, you're just.
Any other questions?
I have a comment. I think it's an overall positive change that we're gonna have, to approve the zoning of this. You know, you can't be afraid of change, especially if you want to move forward in life. things have to change. And if you're afraid of change, you're not gonna get anywhere. So it can be done properly, the zoning can be done properly, it can be monitored by the city to make sure that it's done right. And, you know, I feel very positive about it.
Well, you must not live on Christopher.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
But I live in Superior, and I'm concerned about
So
Superior.
do I.
I'm concerned about the overall positive attitude about the Superior. I'm all for growth, the positive growth, and, you know, don't be afraid of change. Change is coming.
Change is every day, and it's value that we're thinking about. Value and our safety and our health.
I think the value of this project is gonna add value to your projects.
I'm talking value of Superior. Isn't it better for the town of Superior to build homes than apartments or townhouses?
Where are they gonna build?
There's plenty of empty lots that can be built, but they just don't do it. They're fixing these houses that are so old and fixing them and selling them for 3-4 times their value, and they're making profits. But now, I lived in my home over 32 years, and I invested every day of my life in my home. And I don't want that value to drop, and I don't want it to diminish the quality of life that I've had there.
All I can say is don't be afraid of change, because you can have positive change.
Positive, even bad change, it's still change every day.
Could be negative, you don't know.
That's right, you cannot determine
You can't-
that.
you
No,
can't determine
and
the
that's
future.
chance, and that's choice. And might choose not to rezone.
Well,
Todd,
that's your point.
this is a big tract of land. Do we have any information about the land itself, how the elevation changed, what's on it? Is there anything, I mean, what's
there
under
are-
it, where the water is coming in through, under?
It's in the floodway. About 7 acres or 5 acres are buildable, 7 are in the floodplain right now. That could be addressed through engineered design to try to change the flood designation of that specific lot. That all has to be done before you can determine how many units they're going to be able to build on the lot, because there may be requirements to put water containment and diversion, and that may be a lot of the lot. So that final design will determine the actual number of units on the lot. So it's a fairly flat downsloping lot. By that I mean it slopes down from Christopher, which it also slopes towards the creek, so they're gonna have to change those slopes in order to change the floodway. So that's gonna have to be an engineered design, and that will have to come back for design review. It's not an inexpensive project, you're absolutely right.
Can I show her this map of it's considered Exhibit C?
Sure, I'm not sure what it is, I don't, it'll have to,
She has it.
well, it'll have to be a copy given to the clerk, so she can.
Okay, I don't have a copy, but she can Mom gave it to me.
Okay.
This is it. This is the floodplain, yes. These will tell you the legend of what is the floodplain zone. All these little pluses, that's floodplain zone. And this is the one that is.
The commission has all of these in your packet as well.
We do have.
You have, okay. Yes, it's only small.
Okay, no, I was more concerned about, to get their rezoning and what had started on this, basically regrading, hauling and moving tons of fill, all of this reconfiguring, and it just becomes prohibitively expensive.
Oh, that's
Really not a problem.
No,
That's a fail on our part then.
That's gonna have to be addressed. That's the regrading permission, the civil permit that has to go with that, and it's gonna have to be reviewed. There's it's gonna have to be an engineered grading plan. It's also gonna have a design review for the actual structures that they wanna put on the lot. Again, it's too early to early days to tell you exactly what it's gonna look like, because all of that work has to be done. That's all very expensive work. Just the engineering is probably gonna be pushing $100,000 before this is done. So that's just to get to those, but they won't undertake that expense without a rezone. And that's just the practical.
Well, I know
Way
what
it has to
I
go.
was, and I know what happened over there, despite what was supposed to be, so I worry.
And there are the things like the Highlands and the projects that were started and not finished. I agree, those are issues. Things are changing in the community. Our housing stock is being bought up, and they're being bought up not because of mine activity. And it's not minors who are buying our houses. It's seniors moving to our community. The housing stock, when the mine does finally get going, is going to be non-existent. And they aren't buying the old mine homes. A modern family doesn't want a little 800 to 1,000 square foot house. They want, the McMansion in Santan, or a modern house with a condominium that they don't have to work at too hard. So we just don't have the housing stock that's going to attract the workers. It doesn't exist in our community. What's going to happen to address that is an open question, and that's what this commission is really here for, is to say, okay, here's how we think that we can accommodate that demand. And that's the decision that's in front.
Doug, just out of curiosity, what happened with the little homes they were gonna build on the Taylor land?
Taylor, they are still into design. Again, that's a long process. The rezone happened how long ago? You know what? But they're still designing. And it's an expensive, time-consuming process. They still have to get all the permits.
So
But they
this
are
isn't-
still talking to us, yes.
Even if we vote for the zone change, this isn't gonna happen overnight,
Yeah.
so
They might decide not to build.
I was
that's
gonna
just
say,
it.
just to add to, I know that you guys have concerns about it could be all apartments down the road, or just because we're asking for this proposed rezone of the R3, that doesn't mean that we could end up building homes that actually fit more into an R1A as far as density is concerned. That doesn't mean that we have to build that dense as far as how many units are on the land. We may come down the road and see how the activity and the growth is going in Superior and be like, hey, we actually don't need this much housing. Let's expand these lots. Let's make these homes one story. Like, that's also a possibility too. So I know that it's easy to think that we might just end up doing all apartments, but it could go the opposite. Or like you said, we could not even end up building anything if it doesn't make sense, and if it doesn't, and then your views are still the same, and you're still looking at that manufacturing thing that's there anyways, so we'd at least be blocking that a little bit, and you have the mountain. We're only going 28 feet either way. That won't ever change, and I can confidently say that we won't ask for an additional height for development and for design. Because that's not what we envision there either. We're aware of people's views and how we want things to look in Superior. I mean, it would just be crazy to build something tall there and take up all the airspace and the views. So I just want to point out that, yeah, it could go this way, but it also could go the other way. And either way, I still think it's adding value to your property with the new development, with landscaping, with a park, with these amenities that are really desirable, and a new development. Not everybody can take on purchasing an older home and renovating that. I know HGTV makes it look so easy now, but it's a process and it's a project, and not everybody can do it well. So that's what makes buying a move-in ready home, where you don't have to think about it, that much more desirable for somebody coming into Superior. And even the retirement community, they're not gonna take on a project that takes their blood, sweat, and tears and a headache in a year to establish. They want a move-in ready house, or a condo, or a townhome.
It's interesting because the only new construction going on are up on the top of the Highlands in the last section. And those are huge, and people are buying 2 and 3 lots for a single house to have more space. So we seem to be with the only new construction going on that seems to be going bigger, a lot bigger.
Okay, anything else? Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve this zoning change.
I'll second
Motion made by David Gunn to approve resolution 2019-08, seconded by Joy Evelyn to approve resolution 2019-08. All in favor? Henry, how do you vote?
No.
No by Henry Munoz. Sherry Fedor?
Torn both ways. I'll go yes and make sure that, hope.
Yes by Sherry Fedor. Jesse Garcia, how do you
Yeah.
vote?
Yes.
Yes. David Gunn?
Yes?
Yes. Joy Evelyn?
it. Yes.
And a yes vote by Matt Mashaw, because change is gonna happen. So motion carries to approve resolution 2019-8.
Let's see what the council says now.
Yeah.
Get overruled really easy. Number 2, discussion on proposed Superior Water and Trails Action Plan and Queen Creek Greenway Concept Plan.
We've been having our first public hearings about this. We've met with all the property owners. We've been committed to the creek. I wanted to make sure the Planning and Zoning Commission was aware of this project. This is based on the plan from 1998, the Queen Creek Restoration Plan. We pulled that plan off the shelf and said, what from this could we actually build? And we started with the lower segment of the Lost Trail, which is from the airport all the way to the lower bridge, the Bridge Street Bridge. And that is going to be built out this winter. We already have all the permits, the easements, the land donations to make that possible to go all the way through. So it's, we've applied for a AmeriCorps grant, so we'll have an AmeriCorps crew and a Hydro Flask grant to pay for. But either way, we're going to build that this winter. This section is a much more serious planning challenge because it is in the town center. We want it to be very attractive. We want it to have some amenities that draw people to our town center and tie our recreation economy to our downtown community. And there's also an opportunity with the draft EIS that came out. It stated that the water in the Queen Creek is going to decrease by 18% when the subsidence period begins. That's a huge impact, and as a part of their 404 permit, we are asking that they mitigate that loss by returning water to Queen Creek. As you may or may not be aware, when they put the tunnels underneath the creek back in the day, they fractured the creek bed, and all the water that used to flow along the creek now goes underground and is pumped out of the Never Sweat. It's nice, clean water. And they've tried to stop it twice. They capped the creek with 200 feet of concrete. They capped the tunnel under the ground with 300 feet of concrete, and it didn't even slow it down. So that is about its average is 150 gallons per minute. According to the 98 study, it's never less than 40 gallons a minute. That would be about a 2 to 4 inch pipe flowing steadily into the creek. If we put it in, according to this plan, we want to put it in just below the Magma Club, and it would flow on the surface in the hard rock segment of the creek. As it got into the alluvium, the sands and the gravels further down, it would probably sink underground. But even if it sank underground, it would make the riparian area more healthy. The trees are going to be greener, more lush. It's going to be a better green space. What we also are going to do is clean out all the invasive species, clear out the underbrush, make it an open, inviting space that people want to use, especially with the new trail system through there. We're asking for them to install suballuvial dams. Suballuvial dams are structures that they go in the sandy area, they dig until they hit bedrock on either side, and then they fill that trench with concrete. The water pools up behind this suballuvial dam in the sands until it reaches the surface, and then it flows over the top. So it's not a pond, it's just a creek flowing on the surface. And that allows the water to slow down, spread out, and to recharge the local aquifer. We also have some nice amenities like overlooks, some park space, some other things built into this, some parking for the Lost Trail. When we put this segment in, it will complete our new trail all the way from the Arizona Trail, all the way to the tunnel above town. So the lost trail would finally be complete. This looks likely to be funded through the mitigations for the EIS, so we did rush to get this done, to have a fully fleshed out plan that we could show to the planners and say, look, just adopt this and put it into the EIS as one of your mitigations. There's going to be a lot more discussion on this. There's another work session before the council meeting Thursday next week, where we're going to go over it for an hour. We do have lots of maps and some conceptual pictures and some drawings back here so that you can see what it looks like. I also have given you some small versions of those in here. The action plan that is in front of it is the conceptual ideas that we pulled from the 98 study, our goals, our objectives, and what we're going to be designing these smaller action plans to accomplish. Again, the 98 study, when you look at it, it's huge. It would cost us millions of dollars to fix that. At the time we started approaching that, we had no idea of funding from Resolution 4. We were thinking, what in the study could we actually build that would move the ball? And we're going to continue to do that no matter how the EIS process plays out. Do you have any questions on all this mess I put in front of you?
How much is resolution gonna kick in on this project? Do we know?
There's no number assigned yet. They have hired a new set of engineers, specifically for aquifer recharge. The previous engineers were hydrologists, but they had no experience in riparian area restoration or aquifer recharge. And our core contention with the EIS is it's about monitoring, and then when they find an impact, it's band-aiding the impact. We say we don't want you to do that. We want you to prevent the impact from ever happening. Let's do aquifer recharge right up front from the day one, so that we never feel any impacts, and we get the benefits right away.
So what's the total cost of the project, more or less? Just
It
around
depends
that.
on which parts were built. If we're just talking the basic project that's in front of you, the non-water amenities are probably about $250,000. If you start talking about putting the water in the creek, you're talking about drilling a hole from the never split all the way down to the creek or running a new pipe, that's probably another $500,000 project. In addition, if we decide we're going to put what's in the 98 study, which is a stormwater retention pond, that's probably at least another $1 million project. But we are advocating with the Army Corps of Engineers to include it in the 404 permit. If it's included in the 404 permit, it's not negotiable. They have to do it, and they have to do it immediately. They are very much for that. The current gentleman who's in charge of the project has said that he sees that we can really make a case for local mitigations, and that their current mitigation plan is light. They need more. So I think our chances of actually getting this paid for completely are very good.
So we're looking roughly, top of the head, 2 mil?
Yes, if we put the stormwater pond in. If we don't put the stormwater pond in, and the stormwater pond the concept was put out in 1998, and laws have changed. EPA, the council looked at doing it again about 6-7 years ago, and the EPA came to our meeting and said, that it's not possible the way it was designed in the day. But everything's changes at EPA on a daily basis now, so who knows, maybe it's possible. But we'll have to get it redesigned.
Worst case scenario, if the water isn't available from the mine, our sanitary district will be able to make up for it, right?
Yes, we can put, without damaging the arboretum, we can put about 40 gallons per minute into the creek, which is about a 2-inch pipe. And that would allow for at least enough of a baseline that the riparian area stays healthy. If we don't see the decrease in flow from the resolutions beside this creek. If they do go into operation, then we have to at least double that. And we're going to need at least 80 to 100.
Okay.
I may have missed this, it could be in here, but are there any plans anywhere to, widen the creek bed, deepen it, change any of the configuration?
That's what the current engineer is looking at, and they call it channel development.
Yeah.
And right now, if you look at, for instance, Stone Wash, if you look off to the right, many, many decades ago, they cut down a big cottonwood tree right there. And now it's a big stump, and all the rocks have piled up against it, and it's narrowed the channel. Right? That's bad for the channel, it's bad for our floodwater issues, and it's bad for the health of the ecosystem around it. So what we want to do is go and get rid of those snags. We want to cut out the invasive species, all the tamaracks, the salt cedars, the trees of heaven. We want to reduce the mesquite scrub and the oleanders. If you go and look to the left in the stone wash, you'll see an oleander that's bigger than my house. That thing's a monster. And it needs to go. It's an invasive species. Oleanders, if you touch them, can give you heart palpitations and irregular heartbeat. If you burn them, they can kill you.
How do you get rid of them?
You have to pull them out and send them to a landfill. You can't burn them. Our permit specifically, our EPA permit specifically forbids burning oleanders.
I only got one I'm trying to kill.
You need to put it in a dumpster, so you only burn it.
Okay. Tamarack is not native to Arizona.
No, it's an invasive species and it needs to be, it also drinks a lot of water, but there are lots of them in town.
I know.
And they're hard to get rid of. You get rid of it once, but you have to maintain that in order to eventually change the ecosystem.
Todd, I'm kind of interested in this intercept issue with Neverswet Tunnel. That's the water we're talking about here. Not the makeup of 18% loss from storm flow from the subsidence grader.
If you look at our ask, we're asking for both. We're asking for the 18%
Okay.
and that water put back in the creek.
All right.
Because yes, the impacts, theoretically, the impacts for the EIS are based on a baseline that do not take into account prior mining operations. They do not have responsibility for things that were done before the Clean Water Act, Protection Act. And like that's the same issue with the smelter. They're not responsible for anything that the smelter's done because that was before the Clean Water Protection Act. It's grandfathered, there's nothing anybody can do about it. But if this is an opportunity for them to give us an offsetting mitigation for their effect for the tailings pile, which affects the Gila watershed also. And they need significant mitigations to do that. And they can redirect some of those mitigations to the town of Superior, and we can get more than just the direct impact. We might be able to get, they're talking about putting a restoration area over the entire creek and taking over management and removing all the invasive species and putting water back in the creek, and there's a lot of things on the table there.
Is there a timeline or anything? How long will it take to construct once it gets going?
It could be built quite quickly, but as we all know, the EIS is not a fixed thing.
Right.
I mean, even if it passes now, it's going to be, could be held up in court challenges for the next 20 years. So they have to do it before they execute their permit, but they may not ever execute, they could never execute their permit if things happen, you know what I'm saying? So, and we've all been in mining country long enough to know these mines come and go, and the best laid plans of mice and men, right? So we just have to say, if it's going to happen, that we have to protect our community.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Call for the public again?
Do you have anything to say about the water in the creek?
I think it's a fantastic idea. Go for it. We need that.
Do I hear a motion to close the meeting? Motion made by Sherry Fedor to close the meeting. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Joy Osmond. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries to adjourn the planning and zoning meeting.
Pamela,